to show everybody the power of resonance. What you're looking at is a Tesla coil setup on the right. It's my primary driver. On the left, there's 4 number 2 coils, windings. Nothing but PVC pipe and wire. They're all wrapped to a specific resonance frequency. The coil that's driving everything, the one on the right, has a resonance frequency, meaning the number 1 and number 2 coil are oscillating together in order to build a resonance frequency that turns on every one of these number 2 coils that are attached to absolutely nothing at under 9 volts. Let's turn off the light so you can get a good look at this, and then we'll come back and we'll start looking at the setup and how it works. Somebody asked me where the null zone is in these coils. It's not in the primary driving coil, it's in all of these number 2 coils. So let's take a look. In energy, we have a null zone. We have energy, we have a null zone. Energy, null zone, energy. Does the null zone build out? Yes, it does. Does the energy build out? Yes, it does. Are they entangled to one another, these coils, meaning wirelessly entangled to one another? Hit the null zone, those turn off. Put the energy power back on, they'll turn back on. Cover the null zone, they turn off. Put the power back on, they turn on. Why is this working? Because the null zone itself has energy all over it. It just simply is fighting the other energies going on. So it seems like there's nothing there, but that's where power is. It only seems calm. It's not, there's still energy there. We perceive it wrong. The number 2 windings light up at the top and bottom because there's a vortex. The vortex here going down. You hit the null point. There's a vortex here going up. You hit a null point. Vortex again. They build out this way. They say, how much power does it need to do all this? Well, I'm a little over 8 volts. I'm not even to 9 volts yet. Think about all the Tesla coils you've seen on the internet. How many light bulbs can be lit up at 9 volts? How far away? Generally, they're sitting right next to it. That's not the case here. Let me go ahead and turn on the lights, and we're going to look at the hardware necessary to do this. Now, we can see the energy still on in them. I'm going to take this camera off the tripod and we're going to walk around everything and take a look at it. The first thing I want to do before we do that is I'm just simply going to move this a little closer. And I want you to notice something. This coil came right off of here. There's no wires attached to it. It's simply just a number 2 winding. But over there, the light turns back on. Just the number 2 winding. That's it. Nothing else attached to it. Turn the energy back on. Right there, it's back on. Just the number 2 winding. I'm going to show all of them because you need to see it. Energy's right there to it. Let's go to the hardest one. Maybe it isn't the hardest one. It's the easiest one. Number 2 winding by itself. And there we go, power's back on it. These are all wireless. There's no question whatsoever that they're wireless. So, let's go ahead and take a look at the rest of it. We can see the energies coming on next to them still. It's not a problem. Here's our driving coil right here. Let's take a look right here. You can see the breakout coming out of it. .15 volts. What does that mean? I have less than 2 amps. Less than 2 amps in there. That's how much voltage it took to do this. There's our frequency, 406. Now there are all multiple frequencies in all these coils. Here's the driving coil right here. You can see this ring around it. The ring around it keeps the frequency steady and it compresses it. The more compression I put here on by putting rings around it, the further the distance the energy goes, because it works out like radiation. The more you compress it, the further the distance goes. The frequency is actually really good here. So what does that mean? As the frequency goes up, the voltage goes down. The voltage is simply a carrier for the frequency. The energy itself is in the frequency. Once you create resonance, the energy is within the resonance. You're blocking it with the amount of energy you're putting into it. You're taking coherence in the frequency itself, in the resonance, and you're putting distortion in it with the energy. Again, 8.15 volts. We're running a ZVS circuit here. We're running a cap bank. I have this cap bank out because I'm changing this thing quite a bit. That's all that's going on here. That's all that's connected. Nothing else. All of that power, that full 8 volts, is turning on all of these coils right over here. There's nothing under the desk. This can be done live right in front of everyone. There's no game here. There's no tricks. This is where it is. You saw the null zone in it? Sorry, I put this back on the tripod. You see the energy in the system. Look at any Tesla coil you want. At 8 volts, it should not do this, but it does. Why? Because the energy itself is in resonance. It is not in the energy that you put out from your coil. It is in how much resonance you can get from your coil. How good of the resonance frequency you could put it into. How accurate is it? As soon as you get that, power right there is everywhere. These continue to build out. You can keep putting them at equal distance all the way out, as far as you want. You can do it 360 degrees. It will not matter. What you have to understand about this is you're just dealing with frequency to excite the coil. It is what string theory should be. It's what resonance theory is. As it resonates, it turns on nodes inside coils, which makes null zones, and it makes vortexes on the top and bottom, just like you see here. We'll go ahead and turn off the lights one more time. I want you to be able to see the null zone and see the energy going into it. We'll take a few minutes to see where it is. Someone asked me, is the null zone flat? Is it spherical? I'll try to show it. It does build out somewhat flat with a very minor angle to it. So it would be flat plus a 1 degree angle, top and bottom, is what it normally should be. So let's just turn off the lights and take a look. As we can see, all of the coils are lit up nicely. How do I increase the energy to these coils? Most people would say, well, just turn up the energy on your primary driving coil. It'll turn them off. Why? Because again, I'm adding distortion to it. How do I get these to turn on brighter? I adjust the frequency itself to get a higher frequency level. What is that telling you? The higher the frequency level, the higher the energy that goes into these coils. That's it. You're not necessarily changing the resonance frequency. There's a number you've got to hit. But the amplitude of it has to be higher. All right, let's go into these things, man. Let's move the camera a little bit. We'll zoom in. Okay. We're going to pick this coil right here on the end. And we're simply going to look for null zone. That should be good right there. So you have energy, null zone. There's the energy. If I put it all the way up against it, there's no energy. There's a tiny bit. I don't know if you can see it on camera, but I can see it. There's a very, very tiny bit. No energy. See how it starts to go down at an angle? It might be more than 1 degree. Not right there. Null zone. There's a natural energy at a distance. So you can see right there it's starting to die. Then they hit the null zone. The null zone is right here. At a distance, starts to die around there. That distance is 3/4 of an inch at 10 inches of distance. So to the side of the coil, you go out 10 inches, and then it's 3/4 of an inch going down or up, which is the null zone. So it doesn't do exactly a flat line. It builds out a little bit. But that's in a coil because I'm using a cylinder shape. As soon as I change the geometry on that, it'll change the angles. It'll change the null zone itself. Geometry plays a giant role in resonance. A little bit differently than you may think, but it does. As you build out geometry coils, you understand this better. This system works on a little over 8 volts. I hope everybody understood what was going on today. There's your null zones. They build out in your secondary coils. There's no question that they're there. Your voltage is extremely low. With that said, let's give you a better shot of everything on the way out. I hope everybody understood everything. If you have questions, just let me know. The ring around that coil absolutely does change the frequency. I want to thank Janice on the channel for telling me to put one on there, because it absolutely worked. And the more that I put on there, the more I compress that coil, the further distance I can push these things out. So with that said, have yourself a great day.
The old man will. The old man will. The old man will. The old man builds. The old man builds is broken in the head. People not seeing reality has put them in the red. Where conscious and spirituality been stricken from the norm and replaced with the ignorance of basic magnetic form. The geometry of God keeps running through his head. That's what makes old man builds broken in the head. The old man builds. The old man builds. Spheres of destiny are spinning in his mind, making him travel back and forth in time, battling the establishment for just a little recognition. Has him forcing the world to understand his premonition. That world will have all the technology in the end, even if it means his life will fail to instead. The old man builds. The old man builds. The old man builds. The old man builds. Fears of destiny are spinning in his mind, making him travel back and forth in time, battling the establishment for just a little recognition. Has him forcing the world to understand his premonition. That world will have all the technology in the end, even if it means his life will fail to extend. The old man builds. 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 Fears of destiny are spinning in his mind, making him travel back and forth in time, battling the establishment for just a little recognition. Has him forcing the world to understand his premonition. That world will have all the technology in the end, even if it means his life will fail to extend. The old man builds.